You ready to rock and roll? How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
We're a bit sleepy today. We've been lying on the sofa almost falling asleep, and then we thought, oh, let's do a podcast, and then we'll reward ourselves by getting some food.
That's right. And laying on a sofa in Mad Men seemed to generate all sorts of creative ideas. You know, the advertising executives having the nap in the afternoon, allowing their minds to wander. It's not working for me today.
Not for us. No, we're hitting that. We hit a dead end. But I have got a very interesting piece of correspondence that I wish to share with everyone, that I'm sharing with permission.
Oh, yes.
This is something a little bit different. So let me read something to you. To put it in context and to sort of talk about how this caught me a bit unawares, this actually came into the Number File inbox. For people who don't know, Number File is videos that I make that are about mathematics and things like that, one of my other lives. Tim, I imagine you're a big Number File fan.
Oh, yes. I've recently discovered that you do other things apart from the Unmade podcast.
I can't imagine you sitting down and scrolling through a few Number File videos. It doesn't seem like your bag.
I love the idea of you branching out and doing YouTube clips and Number File videos.
Thank you.
It's wonderful. You've found a whole new outlet there.
It's good. It's good to have like a little outside hustle outlet like that. So that's the context I started reading in. It comes from someone called Truman. And this is what Truman wrote. Brady, first let me give you enormous thanks for the hours and hours of entertainment through all your various channels and podcasts, but also for being a massive factor in my decision to study mathematics as my major at Stanford University. I've always loved math, but Number File solidified that love and interest, and lo and behold, I now have a bachelor's degree in mathematics. Hurrah! So I was thinking, nice work, Truman.
Good stuff, yeah. Truman. Yep.
So he didn't just write about that. He then goes on to write a few paragraphs about some mathematics and a little thing he's working on that's quite interesting and something a little. I won't go into all the details, but it was really interesting, and we sort of explained it and sent me some pictures and things like that.
Yep.
So it was a pretty typical kind of Number File message at this stage, and I was enjoying it. And at the end it says, "Thanks again for being a positive influence on my life and countless others across the world."
Marvellous.
P.S. You tend to mention my father a lot on HI and the Unmade podcast. It's kind of hilarious. He's actually just about to finish his own quarantine on the Gold Coast to start filming another movie. Ooh. And I'm like, Truman, and I look at this sign off and it's actually Truman Hanks.
Yes.
This is one of Tom Hanks's sons who's likes his mathematics, but has been listening to the Unmade podcast all this time and hearing us. I mean, we talk about Tom Hanks a lot on the Unmade podcast.
Oh, well, yes, he is in some ways the doyen of the Tom Unmade podcast, isn't he?
He's the third co-host.
He is the unseen guest.
He's the empty. There's an empty chair next to us now. I like to think he's sitting there with us. So all this time we've been spending like joking and making all our Tom Hanks jokes and thinking nothing of it. At the other end, one of the civilians, to him is like it's his dad.
That's a classic.
It kind of makes me feel a bit like uncomfortable.
Why?
Well, because that's like his dad, and that's one of our listeners' dads.
We talk about our dads. What?
I guess.
Why can't we talk about Truman's dad?
That's true. I had a bit of correspondence with him afterwards, just politely and saying, and to check that we could mention this on the podcast. And he did say, "Oh, look, I'm really worried. I don't want you guys to like stop and feel uncomfortable about it because of this." He made a big point of saying like, I would hate to affect the podcast in any way because of this, but I thought I'd let you know when I was writing to you. So we will try to continue our Tom Hanks adoration, despite the fact we know that occasionally you're out there on the other end, Truman. And by the way, Truman's a big Tommy Ball fan too. He had a lot to say about Tommy Ball and the Sofa Shop.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So he's a proper civilian. But there you go.
We've got to lay it on thick. All the great, man. Oh.
Yeah. You watch any Tom Hanks stuff lately?
I haven't, but you know what I did? I've got his book of short stories. Tom Hanks has actually written a book of short stories, and I'd read the first couple, and after we talked about this the other day, I pulled it out, and I'm going to read a few more.
And keep going.
Put it next to the bed.
Finish the book.
Yeah.
Right. Nice.
Well, they're all discrete short stories, you see. So I read a few. They're all surrounding the theme of typewriters, which Hanks has a great passion for, which one that I share. So, yes.
All right.
It's very good.
What's the last Tom Hanks movie you watched?
On Netflix at the moment, he's got the Navy captain. Now, what's that called?
Greyhound.
Greyhound.
I haven't watched that. Is it any good?
It is good. Yeah, very good. Yeah, very strong. Yeah,
And
enjoyed
how's
that a
Tom
lot.
in it? Is he just solid, likable?
Like just the most marvellous captain.
Yeah.
An upright, upstanding man, calm in a storm.
Yeah. If I was I wouldn't get in a submarine unless Tom Hanks was captaining it.
No, that's right. That's right. That's reasonably unlikely, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know. Mine was The Green Mile, so I love, that was.
Oh, you rewatched that again recently?
Yeah, just watched that recently. Yeah, I did have a note I have a note in my phone though for a podcast idea which I wrote, and I just wrote Tom Hanks his face is kind of pudgy in The Green Mile, and I was going to center this. I had this idea that centered around Tom Hanks's face being pudgy in The Green Mile, but now because of the whole Truman factor,
you can't mention that.
Yeah, it's kind of like, what do I do now? Like,
Was he told maybe to look a bit more rounded and smiley?
I'm
and
sure he just
cuddly?
acted it. I'm sure when the camera stopped rolling, his face just went back to normal. He's just such a great actor. He can just change his weight when the director says action. That's how good he is.
Just perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, that's marvellous. I can't remember a film where he's looked significantly different. Has he done anything where he's had...
Well, he got himself all gaunt and ripped in Castaway, didn't he?
Oh, well, that's true. Yeah, grew the long beard and whatnot. But I don't remember him playing He's never done like a Marvel film where he's been made up in a costume or anything like that I can remember.
I can't imagine Tom Hanks in a Marvel film. What would he be, like Mr. Nice?
He would be, yeah. Mr. Sheen. Yeah.
He would just kill people with good manners.
It's just so... It'd be the first Marvel film where instead of destroying his enemy, he like wins him over and they shake hands and like form a peace treaty. And it's like, okay, well, let's agree to disagree and let's move on.
As a young boy, he was bitten by empathy, and now he's just really empathetic.
He became empathy man. Legend.
Anyway, there you go, Truman. Man. You can rest assured we'll keep talking about your dad.
Oh, yes.
Long may it continue. All right.
Thanks for writing in, Truman.
Yes, thank you very much.
Nice work.
And also thanks for that math stuff. That was really interesting. I didn't tell Tim about that because he wouldn't understand. But it was.
I don't speak math.
No. All right. Ideas for a podcast. Who's going to go first?
Now that I'm out of my slump. I'm flying.
Yeah, you should have heard the list Tim read to me before the show, people. there's plenty of slump material there.
I was reading the ones I wasn't going to use. I was saying, but when we get on air, here we go.
All right.
This idea is called, You Guys Ready to Rock and Roll?
You've done it. Terrible title for a good idea.
You don't know what it's about.
Yes, I do.
You don't know. No, this is look.
All right.
This is a You Guys Ready to Rock and Roll is the classic comment made by someone in a restaurant. They get up, they walk over, pay the bill, come back, stand next to the table, jingle the car keys.
Yep.
You guys ready to rock and roll? So this is a podcast about those comments, right? Those classic comments that come out every time, and who says them, and
like sort of like sayings, but sayings that what does a saying have to qualify for the show? Does it have to be annoying or often used, or what's the criteria here?
Often used to the point of making you laugh. Like, you know what I mean? Those comments that just, you can see them coming out of the person's mouth as they say them. You know it's coming and you're just waiting for it. You did this the other day. We pulled up at your mum's house.
Yeah.
And even before she had a chance, the door opened and it's, oh.
And I said, because I was with Tim, who she hasn't seen for a long time, was my old stomping buddy, look what the cat dragged in.
Yeah.
Look what the cat... Oh, dear. Look what the cat's dragged in. When someone walks in the house you haven't seen for a while. And the other one is, as I live and breathe.
As I live and breathe. Yeah, I love that.
Or the other one is, here's trouble.
Here's trouble. Yeah, that's right. That was a favourite of my mum, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a few here's troubles when I walked in the front door of your house. Here's trouble.
Here's trouble. But you weren't trouble.
No. I was a good boy.
Talk about unfair. You were saying you've noticed a few comments being back in Australia that are being thrown around.
I've noticed a new one because I've been spending a lot of time in restaurants and bars because I'm visiting lots of people and I like spending time in restaurants and bars.
Sure.
And I've always noticed the no worries. That's the classic Australian.
No
Can I
worries.
have a beer? No worries. Oh, can you pass me that straw? No worries. The bar staff always get no worries. But the new one I've been noticing a lot on this trip is too easy.
Yeah.
You order, can I have a beer, please? Too easy.
Too easy.
Pour the beer. Then I'm like, $5. Swipe your card. Too easy.
Too easy.
That's what they say. Everything's too easy.
It's like, well, sorry. Can I ask something more difficult of you?
I said sometimes I feel like I should just slam a Rubik's Cube down on the bar and say, give that a go then.
Too easy.
Too
Hang
easy.
on.
Oh.
Oh, mate, look.
No worries.
Turn it up. What are you doing to me? What are you doing to me?
Everything is too easy.
Yeah.
So, but there you go. Too easy.
The bravado of the Australian psyche.
Yeah.
No problems. It's too easy. Got it sorted.
All good.
All good.
Yeah. That they just come out naturally. So I didn't have to think about that one. What else is on the list? What are some other ones you can think of that are?
Oh, well, I guess there's that one. A lot of these are dad sort of comments because dads are always got a very limited vocabulary, it seems, when it comes to speaking to members of the family. So part of it is you get a little bit of money and there's a don't spend it all at once.
Oh, yes. I like that one. Or if someone's washing the car, can you do mine after that? Just things that have to be said. Yeah, I have lots of those.
Or anyone who's involved in their job involves some sort of computer panel or complex sort of electronics in front of them. Someone walks up and goes, do you need a license to fly that?
I love it.
Oh, they're unbearable.
What about when like a teenage girl comes downstairs wearing not much clothes? Are you going to get dressed before you go out?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Money doesn't grow on trees,
What do you do that makes your kids embarrassed or groan?
I tend to spell things out instead of saying them. So I'll say, time for the BED.
Okay. What do they do when you say that? They're like, oh.
They jump in now. They go, it's, the
Right.
television program ends or we're clearing up and they can just sense the feeling of, and one of them will go, time for the BED.
Right. Speaking of which, this is a little bit off topic, but it does involve embarrassing kids. And it's a story that I wanted to tell anyway on the podcast. But Tim and I went out the other day with Tim's family and we stopped into KFC, funnily enough.
We did too.
We did, yeah.
Yeah.
And they've been advertising this thing all over Adelaide and I've seen it all over the bus shelters everywhere. And I was really excited by it, called the boneless bucket.
Yes.
And they had this big bucket on the sign with flowing over the top with chicken, and it's all boneless things like little popcorn chickens and tenders and all the things that haven't got bones in them. And I just thought, that looks pretty good, boneless bucket. Can we get one of them? So that's what we decided to get. We ordered a boneless bucket for all of us. And we sat there, we stood there waiting for them to get it all prepared.
And I was picturing a bucket we'd have to almost carry together. You know what I mean? It would be don't spill all those boneless bits falling out everywhere,
So, so anyway, we got these high expectations and then they slide across the counter this bag with 5 or 6 little boxes in it of chips and and we literally said, "Where's the bucket?
What's this?
Where's our bucket?" And the girl looked at us like we were idiots.
Yeah.
She looked at us like we were fools, and she said, "It's called the boneless bucket."
It is, yeah. The ad is right there.
Yeah.
The picture. We're pointing at it.
We ordered the boneless bucket, and she just looked at us like absolute idiots and said, "It doesn't come in a bucket.
There's no actual bucket.
There's no bucket." Just to make this fit into the podcast, at this point, one of your daughters was hiding behind a pillar because she was so embarrassed of what fools we were being. But anyway, back to the boneless bucket. We were we couldn't believe it, and then other staff were getting involved, and they were backing her up, saying, "No, that's right. There's no bucket." And we were like, "We want a bucket."
It's called.
And then the guy tried to put greasy oil on troubled waters, and they had behind him they had stacks of buckets almost going up to the ceiling. There was no shortage of buckets in this premise. So then he leaned over and said, "Would you like us to give you a bucket?" And we were like, too bloody right, yeah.
Yeah.
And then he said, would you like 2 buckets? And we were like, yep.
Yep. What each?
Because then we could wear the buckets as hats and embarrass your daughter.
That's
even more.
right, even more out in the car park. Yeah, look, I tell you, but it's not even, it's not just in the picture. It's like, oh, yeah, no, they just put it in a bucket for the photo. They did do that, but then they named the deal the boneless bucket. And there was no bucket. She goes, there's no actual bucket.
Yeah.
And it's
next we're going to find bones in it.
That's right. Oh, it was ridiculous. I don't know why they do that.
It's scandalous. I was going to alert the authorities at one point, but I calmed down.
You did.
That reminds me of another dadism that you do all the time. When one of the girls says, I'm hungry, you say, hi, hungry, I'm Tim.
It never gets old. No. The great thing is of growing up and knowing about the daddisms and dad make bad jokes, it becomes almost ironic because you step into that character and make bad jokes. Of course, from their perspective, they're not aware of this. So all they hear is all these bad dad jokes for the first time. Whereas I kind of, you know what I mean? Like there's no irony. So they are literally having to experience them at face value.
That's a better name for your podcast. Daddisms. What a great name for a podcast. Daddisms?
Oh, yeah. No, well, I guess that's a good name.
Yeah. It's better than whatever you call it. What did you call it?
You guys ready to rock and roll?
So let me ask you this then, because obviously daddisms are known as being corny.
Yep.
And your dad is uncool, isn't he? And you can't, there's like dad dancing, you associate bad dancing on the dance floor, dad dancing.
Yep.
Now, I know you like popular culture. You like to think your taste in music and stuff is pretty cool. When you are like being dad, are you trying to be the cool dad that's not like the other dads? Or do you lean into being uncool? Like, if you were at a wedding, would you deliberately do a bit of corny dancing to, like, embarrass the girls? Or will you try and do cool David Silver dancing, things like that?
There are a few hats there.
Right.
And you have to choose them.
Right.
I am a cool dad.
Right. Well, obviously.
And
But you do wear a lot of denim. I don't know if that makes sense. I've never known someone to wear so much denim. And you wear it. You preach in denim. It's like it's your royal. It's like it's your papal clothing.
ceremonial robes.
You don the denim. You need a little denim papal hat like the Pope wears. What are they called? Those little Pope hats?
Well, it's a Pope hat, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not from that part of the church.
Or you could get a big denim bishop one that go, those big high ones.
Yes, stonewash.
Yeah,
Stonewash.
Nice.
Or Fabergé.
A denim scepter.
That's right. Hey, Levi. That's a good biblical name.
Yeah.
There you go.
Anyway, many hats you were saying. Because you are cool. You think you're pretty cool.
I of an era. And part of the coolness is not wanting to be cool. You reach an age, look, what am I, in my mid-40s, right? 44.
Right.
So there's a sense you don't want to look too contemporary. I don't like that at all. And looking cool and trying to be cool and trendy, that's bad form. You know what I mean? You've got to lean back into who you are. So there's something a little bit, you know what I mean? Like not wanting to be cool that in my mind makes me a little bit cooler.
Right. Because you're not
bringing up the kids not to care so much what other people think.
The thing that makes you cool is how you're willing to be uncool. Like,
you've got to be a bit out. So that's right. You got to dance and enjoy yourself. But the fun way of dancing is to look ridiculous. Like, is to let go. You can't enjoy yourself dancing if you. I can't remember the last time I danced anywhere, by the way. But you can't enjoy yourself if you're worried about what you look like. That's right.
Yeah.
So you've got to just got to let it go.
All right.
But
nice. Well, there's advice from the master people.
Oh yes.
Daddisms. I like the idea of daddisms.
That's maybe even a better podcast is that idea of cool dads trying to be cool and what they go to and the lengths they go to.
We started a whole new idea. I've unleashed the monster now.
Well, I'm out of my slump. I'm out of my slump. I'm flying.
Oh dear.
Yeah, there.
All right. Well, I'll ask the girls later in the week whether or not you actually are cool.
Well, of course, from their perspective, I'm not. But as I get old, one day they'll look back and go, he wasn't cool, but that's what we liked about him. That's what made him cool.
Have you ever done something where, like, you feel like your daughters have either said or felt, wow, my dad was the coolest guy in the room then? Like, that was just amazing how good my dad was?
I don't think so. I don't know.
You've certainly never done that from our relationship.
they may think it's pretty cool that I have a podcast, or that I'm on a podcast, or it's a bit of fun. That's probably a unique thing.
Yeah.
But I think they think it's like cool because I'm with you. Like it's, I think they think.
Do they think I'm cool, or do they think I'm like you?
Oh, that's really interesting. I think they think you're cooler than me.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm almost certain.
I would have
Which is
thought so.
ridiculous. It's like a parallel reverse universe of the truth.
Talking about?
No, you are definitely cooler.
Yeah.
But you like maths and stuff like that, which when we were young didn't make you cool, but now makes you cool.
Does it?
It's very cool. I
Right.
think.
Yeah. Sponsorship message. Hover. Domain registry. You're looking at me like you've never heard of Hover before.
No. I'm just thinking. I was just thinking about an idea. I was.
I feel like I felt like I'm at the zoo and some animal's just looking at me like like I'm trying to get an animal to register domain names or something. I've never seen such a blank expression.
I was thinking. I was thinking about the cool dad thing. I think.
Let the dads think go. We're doing Hover now.
Well, the object of being a dad isn't to be cool, is it? It's to be trusted and
Tim,
reliable and loved.
We've moved into like the sponsorship message. Now.
All right. Hover. Now, Hover is cool.
Hover is cool.
Hover is cool.
Hover is cool. So Hover, website, go hover.com/unmade, 10% off your first purchase for registering domain names. If you're doing anything creative, even if you're an uncool dad, there could be a need to have a domain. Why would an uncool dad need a domain to to maybe they want to create a website for their train set collection and let everyone look at pictures of their train set? Because uncool dads would have a train set, wouldn't they?
They would, yeah. Uncool dads, I think, are good dads. I think that, you know what I mean? If they've got a train set, that's like awesome. That's actually very cool.
So if you've got like a little hobby or a project, you might want a domain name. If you've got a business, you should certainly have a domain name. If you're trying to sell anything or sell yourself out there and, as a professional, get yourself a good domain name, and the place to go, hover.com/unmade. Are you back in the room now?
I'm with you.
All right.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. It's the obvious place. It's the only place. It's the place you go.
Well, it's the only place we talk about because it's the best one.
It is.
Yeah.
It actually is.
Yeah.
Hover.
Yeah. All right. Hover. Hover.com/unmade. Well, that was easy. Spoon of the week. It's time for another spoon from the Hine family collection. Tim's pulled one out of the vault that was collected by his mum and dad over the years. He has now been entrusted with this collection. He keeps it in an overflowing Tupperware container. What have you got this time?
Tupperware container bought especially for the spoons.
Really? Well, maybe you should have got a bigger one because they don't all fit.
Well, that's because we found more. They do fit. Yeah, there's too many. Unlike the tenders in the boneless box, the spoons
boneless
run
bucket.
over.
Now you're calling it a box.
Oh no! I've been.
Yeah.
All right, Brady. Our spoon this week is from the Bulga National Park.
Bulga?
The Tarabulga National Park, which is in...
Tarabulga.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the Bulga Bridge is featured on the spoon. This is a very understated spoon. Nothing too spectacular. No heirs to the throne. Nothing at all on the scoopy bit.
The bowl. Yeah.
Very plain, simple. In fact, if you were holding the handle, the stem or whatever in your hand and you didn't see, you just think it was a normal teaspoon, wouldn't you?
It is very normal, but
Until
you get up to the top where the kind of the sort of the glossy enamel-y part is, and they have this bridge, which it looks a little bit like the Clifton Suspension Bridge, on a glittery green background, which is probably the main feature of the spoon. And you're right, it does say Bulga Park at the top, but it's all really hard to read. It's not. It was not well designed in that respect.
it's been worn down over years. This could be thousands of years old, this spoon.
It could. Maybe it is. Yeah. I was making stuff up now. This was actually an early prototype made by Fabergé himself before he moved into eggs.
It's good. The reason I've chosen this today, even though it's an understated spoon, is firstly we used to go to this national park all the time. People would come and would go out there for the day for a picnic, and it's beautiful. Ferns everywhere, a lot of ferns. And I remember this is where I first
First saw a fern.
I remember this is where I saw my first wombat.
Oh,
I know.
you never forget your first wombat.
Remember how you were asking me the other day, where did you see your first wombat? And I held it back. Here it
I'm
is.
saving that for Spoon of the Week. For years, I've been trying to find out where Tim saw his first wombat. He's finally given it up.
It's also where I saw my first lyrebird.
I don't think I've ever seen a lyrebird.
Oh, yeah. Because I remember them being spoken about in the car. Mum goes, oh, there's a lyrebird. And in my mind...
They're on the 10-cent piece, aren't they? Well, they were.
Are they? But I remember in my... Well, I didn't know that. In my mind...
You could have just looked at a 10-cent piece and that would have been your first lyrebird.
Oh, we couldn't afford that back in my time.
It's because your parents were spending it all on spoons.
But in my mind, a lyrebird, I'm just like, how does a bird tell lies? Like it was all mixed up when I was really young.
Because it's spelled Lyre, isn't it, the lyrebird?
Right. So, yes, it is. I assume you're not lying.
There's that blank expression again, people.
I appreciate you editing out the 20 seconds of thinking time there. That would have taken. Yeah, no, this, and then when in the middle of the park though, this was a this suspension bridge, which in my mind was very similar to the suspension bridge in Indiana Jones at the Temple of Doom.
Oh, nice.
So walking out on this, I'd always stand in the middle.
So it wasn't a big stone solid thing. It had a bit of wobble to it, did it?
Oh no, it was pretty solid.
Okay.
But in my mind. Right. There were alligators down the bottom and it wasn't all green with ferns. It was very dusty and dry. But I often, every time I would stand in the middle of this suspension bridge, which is not very long and very sturdy, and you know, pretend to wrap my ankle around the ropes in the side and lift my hand up above my head like I was going to chop down the sword like Indiana Jones.
Nice.
Yeah. I never did it.
No,
that would have been dangerous.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you responsible boy.
But I enacted it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Tell me more about the wombat.
Well, it was there and it just sort of just wandered off.
Right. So for people who don't know, if for a wombat, imagine like those huge big cushions you put your feet on when you sit at the sofa and you have like a footstool. Imagine a hairy footstool. That's kind of what a wombat looks like.
That's right. That's right. I knew wombats. The famous wombat was from a TV show called A Country Practice. And there was Fatso, who was owned by the local policeman.
Yes.
Fatso the wombat. And so when I was very pleased to see one, and the first time I saw one was here. And so this has actually got quite a few memories attached to it, this understated, simple spoon from Bulga Park.
Treasure it. Treasure that spoon.
I will.
Lovely.
So there we go. That's Spoon of the Week.
And as always with Spoon of the Week, we will spin the wheel to see who is going to win an Unmade podcast souvenir spoon, which I promise will be manufactured one day. Well, I shouldn't promise because I haven't got total control over that process. But it is.
Isn't it being made now?
Yeah, it's in production, but I haven't heard from them for a week or two. So I'm hoping, you know, they're working in the foundries and getting it all done. But
the design is amazing.
The design's good. I don't know what the final spoon's going to look like, but whatever it looks like, it is going to go to Rob, who lives in Enfield in England.
Cool.
Rob, you have won a spoon.
We had a Corey and then a Cody and now a Rob.
I'll tell you who all the winners are so far. They're all Patreon supporters, of course. Guido, Adrian, Corey, Preben, Cody and Rob.
There we go. Congratulations, Rob.
Rob, you're in the club. All right, Tim, it's time for my idea. Now, my idea is a pretty basic idea, but it's got a little twist in the tail. So my idea is called Wind Beneath My Wings.
Right.
And what you do is someone comes on the show and they have to bring with them a second guest who has been in their life an inspiration or a great support throughout their life, the wind beneath their wings. So you come on the show, you talk about the person, you thank them. I guess you embarrass them a little bit, aren't you? And like say all the reasons this person was really important to you while they're there in the room with you. And then once you've done that at the end, you have to sing to them Wind Beneath My Wings by Bette Midler. You have to sing it to them as a thank you for all those years of support.
Did you ever know that you're my hero?
Yeah. Must have been cold there in my shadow.
I've heard that people use this at their weddings and so forth, which is not entirely appropriate, really, is it?
Do you not think?
It's not quite the right tone, but
So let's have a look at the lyrics of Wind Beneath My Wings. Bette Midler sings it in the film Beaches, in which she plays like this famous star, and at the end she's singing about her best friend through her life, who was always this huge support, but wasn't a big famous person like her, was behind the scenes. I've got the lyrics here somewhere.
you keep them with you, do you?
I have them tattooed on my left leg. Oh, 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 oh. Bette Midler sings that bit better than me.
Right. Okay, that's wedding appropriate.
It must have been cold there in my shadow to never have sunlight on your face. You were content to let me shine. That's your way. You always walked a step behind. So I was the one with all the glory, while you were the one with all the strength. A beautiful face without a name for so long, a beautiful smile to hide the pain. Did you ever know that you're my hero and everything I would like to be? I can fly higher than an eagle, for you are the wind beneath my wings.
You are the wind beneath my wings.
And so it continues. It might have appeared to go unnoticed, but I've got it all here in my heart. I want you to know the truth. Of course I know it. I would be nothing without you. Did you ever know you're my hero, etc., etc.?
Oh, I appreciate you reading that to me, Brad.
Yeah,
Man.
it's time. It's time. Yeah, it's time that you were more than just a face without a name, Tim. I was the one with all the glory making math videos.
I guess it probably would be sweeter at the end of a married life. You know what I mean? Like, it's a bit more than using it at a wedding. But it's beautiful. Do you know who I would love to hear sing this?
Do you think it should be a divorce song then? Or?
No. As in, you've always
song.
been there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rather than a promise. Do you know the ultimate person to sing this? I would love to hear the Queen sing this to Prince Philip. On her 100th birthday, just comes out. Never hear her say much except her formal speeches, and she suddenly turns to Prince Philip because he always walks a step behind. He has to walk behind. And so forth.
Oh, it must have been cold there in my shadow to never have the sunlight on one's face.
I think Her Majesty would just cap her term out beautifully with a little bit of karaoke.
Do you know who I want to hear sing? I want to hear Tom Hanks sing it to us.
Yes, we are. We've lifted him up.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
he's flown.
Yeah.
None have flown higher.
No. I want to hear Tom Hanks sing it to the Queen.
Does the Queen have 2 Oscars? No.
No. Where are her Oscars?
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh.
Exactly. How many typewriters has she got?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So, yeah, I would just think it would, yeah. So, anyway, that's
That's a good idea. I think that's a great idea. It
has to have the song being sung at the end, though. That's the kicker.
Just to make sure that it doesn't get too saccharine.
Yeah,
It's a wonderful moment. And they go, all right, well, wipe your tears, guys, because now it's time.
Yeah. I'd love to hear Donald Trump sing it to Melania.
Oh, yes.
That would be nice.
Yes,
at a White House banquet. Just suddenly, just to break down and get a bit teary.
Let this vulnerable side come out.
Get in touch,
I can see Trump singing, I was the wind beneath my wings.
I don't need wind.
When I saw.
Eagles. I fly higher than eagles. They're weak.
Weak
Eagles
eagles.
are weak.
Eagles. It's one of the best. I'm one of the best flyers ever. I fly better than anyone. I'm a big flyer. Good idea. Lovely idea.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Do you want to have another idea from me?
Oh, wow, you got another one?
Yeah, just because that was a quickie, so I might as well do another quickie.
Oh, wow.
I don't know what this podcast is about, but I know what the format is.
Right.
So you can choose what it's about. But episode 1 is 1 minute long. Episode 2 is 2 minutes long. Episode 3 is 3 minutes long. You get the idea. So episode 60 is an hour long. And you're always talking about the same thing, but every episode is 1 minute, exactly 1 minute longer than the episode before.
Are you building on the knowledge from the previous one?
Probably, yeah. Talking about it in a different way. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Or it could be a football podcast, or it could be anything. It could be whatever you're interested in, but it's this kind of this growing length.
Growing.
What do you think about that?
Intriguing.
It's no wind beneath my wings.
Well, no, it's.
Yeah.
I think you might be heading into a slump, man. 5 minutes ago, you were so high. And now the eagle has
The wind has died down. I was just looking because we're at a stage at the moment where our episode numbers are roughly similar to our episode lengths. That's what got me thinking about it. So I was thinking, like, I wonder if we're ever going to have an episode where the episode number exactly matches the length, and that's what got me thinking about it. Wouldn't that be fun to have? Whenever I make a number file video, if it's about a number,
Yep.
and if I can make it close to the length of that number, so if it's about the number 7 and it's 7 minutes long,
Yep,
or if
yep.
it's pi and it's 3 minutes and 14 seconds long, like, people just lose their minds. They love it. So
Yeah. It's a lovely connection.
yeah, so-
Well, yeah, no, okay. So a little bit of symmetry there going on.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's... Yeah, it is symmetry, between the numbers, It is, and it's all, growth, I think that would be fun to do. Maybe that just appeals to my kind of uber nerd mind, but...
I'm surprised no one's ever done that with an album, like a 1 minute song, 2 minute song, 3 minute song, and build it up that way and made that a theme.
Yeah, I bet it has been done. That seems such a gimme of an idea.
Why can't I just have a good idea and you go, that's a great idea? You say, oh, it has to have been done. That's an obvious idea. Come on, man. You say, that's a great idea. You're out of the slump. You're jealous. You're jealous because you're going into your slump.
I just want to be like you, Tim.
Is it cold back there in my shadow in the slump?
I'm a face without a name. Dear me. But I have a beautiful smile to hide the pain.
You do. Yeah.
Anyway, that was just a little idea, but obviously I'm going to have to cut that out now after Tim's just completely...
No, it's good.
You've
It's all
kind of
there.
hurt my feelings a bit there, Tim.
Take it, people, and run with it. Perhaps you could add to Brady's idea. Finish the idea. You could
Polish it. Polish it.
I'm not saying it's not a fully formed idea, but
No.
if you have the other half of the idea,
If you have
Go
the other,
onto Reddit.
If you have the other 98% of the idea,
That's right.
I've just sown the seed.
You've-
I've sown the seed.
you've given the length, which is not a lot. We haven't even mentioned the length of all the other ideas that we've. You've just come out with the length.
That's it. I'm thinking outside the box, man.
You are.
Should we let a patron have an idea?
Yes.
Please. Anything to distract. Okay. I haven't got one lined up here, so I'm just going to find one. All right, Tim. I tell you what. Normally we do the patron ideas randomly, but I'm gonna rig the deck here because Truman has sent us in an idea, who we mentioned at the start of the show. So let's have Truman's idea for a podcast.
Good call.
He says, to the esteemed Reverend Dr. Hine and Dr. Harron, lots of respect, which is always a good way to get yourself into here. After a little bit of banter in the prelim, he actually says he likes listening to the podcast when he's in LA traffic. Makes it easier to bear, so always happy to be of assistance there. But then he says, so my idea for a podcast stems from my love and fascination with accents. Sadly, my Australian is lacking, but that doesn't stop me from trying, much to my girlfriend's dismay. But I've always found it so interesting that our environment and community where we grew up leaves this mark on us for the rest of our lives and affects the very way we connect with other humans. The podcast would be called The Tower of Babblers, a play on the Tower of Babel. In my head, the host would be a mix between Anthony Bourdain and the dialect coach Eric Singer from the Wired videos. Each episode, a guest would come on, and it would be half talk, half travel podcast, where the host and guest just chat and make jokes, and the host would provide insights into their accent and describe what makes each guest's accent unique. They could even walk around the guest's town and interact with people, to order coffee, for example, COVID notwithstanding, and provide some context into the local dialect. At the end of each episode, the guest could read from a fixed paragraph, the same for each episode,
Yep.
that includes a lot of telltale words that are pronounced differently in different parts of the world, to provide a kind of auditory version of a pangram, which is a sentence that uses every letter of the alphabet, like the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. The fixed paragraph could then be a reference to quickly compare different accents, and after enough guests have been on, the readings could be edited together into sort of a one-sided podcast to provide more insights. I think it would work very well in the UK, where it seems like each street has its own accent. I'd also be interested to hear what this hypothetical host would have to say about people who grew up somewhere and then moved away, say from Adelaide to Bristol, and have since developed hybrid accents. One friend I went through high school with grew up in London, so to me he sounded very English, but then when he went home for vacations, his friends would say he sounded American. I'm also fascinated with accents adopted by people who learn English as a second language. I've met a fair number of people from Greece who went to either the British International School or the American International School, and they all have either American Greek or British Greek accents when speaking English. I would be happy to host it, but alas, I have neither the expertise nor the charisma nor the time. I think that's the biggest drawback of this idea, that it's so host dependent. But if talking about the idea entertains you or any listeners, I'll consider that a success. Thanks again for the hours of entertainment. Keep up the excellent work. Yours, Truman.
Oh, solid idea.
He's well written too. Well explained. Yeah, that is a good idea.
It is. Oh, accents are fascinating, aren't they?
People love it. What do you think about my accent? I've been having a lot of people talking to me about my accent the last week or two. When I come back, when you haven't seen me for a while, I guess it's changed a bit because we talk so much now on the podcast, but maybe earlier on when I used to come back. Has my accent changed?
It has slightly. There's a strange thing going on here anyway, because you're from Adelaide, and of all of Australia, Adelaide has an accent that's probably leans closest to the British. It has a little formal kind of British tang to it that the eastern states don't have. That's a bit more flatter and g'day mate sort of, which is
too easy.
Coarse on the ear, yeah. So moving to Adelaide, I noticed that anyway, and if people notice that. But then you've gone to England, and I've noticed, but I don't really hear it as an accent. I hear it in you pronouncing words slightly differently and in an English way.
So it's just be the odd word is said differently rather than a general.
Yeah, or an inflection's put differently. And you'll often go down at the end instead of going, isn't it? You'll go, isn't it? Like you go down at the end.
Yeah.
We're going to the shop. It's just that English way, and I noticed that. It's lovely. It's charming. It's nice.
You.
It's an improvement on your previous accent.
Thank you. Yeah. Like my wife always thinks I sound more Australian when I go home from a trip to Australia. Like
I can imagine. Yeah.
Because it gets sort of recharged and that. So part of me wonders whether that now you and I talk so much more often recording the podcast once a week or so, whether or not that's kind of giving me a bit of a latent Australian influence and keeping me anchored, or whether or not.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. I have another friend who lives in the US, and when I go over there and spend a week or two hanging out with him, his American wife notices that he reverts back to more of a broader Australian accent, just with me hanging around him for the week.
Same deal.
Yeah.
What's your favourite accent?
I do love the British accent, actually. I really do, especially in a feminine voice.
Right. Yeah.
I love French as well. Yeah, French sounds beautiful, doesn't it? Comes off. I enjoy saying French. You go to Paris and you sort of live into thinking you can say a few words that come to mind as you go, and you kind of enjoy saying it. It feels sophisticated and beautiful.
I have a strange love-hate relationship with the Irish accent, because I think the Irish accent is beautiful. And again, I really I have a bit of a weakness for a lady with an Irish accent. But even like a male Irish accent, I find very nice sounding and lyrical. But it's also the whingiest accent, depending on what they're talking about.
Right.
So if they're just telling you a cute story about something that happened while they were chasing a sheep across the hills, it's the best thing in the world. But if they're talking about how they're not happy about politics or something, it's like it's really whiny. Like it sounds really complaining. I wonder if it's because I'm just so used to hearing Irish people complain about politics that I kind of like it has this kind of like complaininess to it. But other times, it is by far and away my favourite, and I think it's the most beautiful, which is such a strange contradiction.
I remember Ben Elton makes that exact point, the comedian.
Right.
He says Bono and Bob Geldof have been, very successful advocates for poverty issues because they just sound great talking about the poor in their Irish accent. Like they've got that sort of social justice-y kind of
I will fight on.
Yeah. That if they came from some, quaint little part of England, and it's like,
if they were from
we need to
Surrey.
drop the debt.
Yeah.
Can we please help out the church? It sounds like a little man in the village, rather than, this is a matter of life and death. Like it just sounds so, it's like, yes, let's rise up in arms. We can do this.
Yeah. I will fight on.
The workers. It's just got a marvelous accent. Yeah. It's lovely.
Yeah, good. That's a much more diplomatic way of putting it, Tim, calling it. It's a good advocate's accent rather than a whinger.
It is an advocate's accent, yeah. I had a friend who was trained as an actor, and she was superb at accents and had trained to do all the different parts of the United States and different parts, she was sort of saying, and seemed quite convincing, of New York City as well. She says, the Queens is a bit more like this. And she was doing that, and it was just amazing. She goes to the West Coast and LA, and if you're over here, the more Texans down here, and then as you move up, and she was sort of able to give voice to
do them
all these different parts of the United States.
It is quite a skill, and doing accents is like something you feel like you can do until you do it. Like you think, until the first syllable comes out of your mouth, and then you realise you can't do it.
And you go into it so confident, don't you?
Because it's like drawing or painting for me. Like drawing, I can picture a really cool drawing of like a jet airplane, and then if I try to draw it, like my hand won't make it. Like the connection between what's in my brain and what my hand can do is completely severed. And I think it's like that with accents. I can hear an Irish accent in my head, and then when I start saying it, it all comes out this one international accent, no matter what accent I'm doing.
That sort of Russell Crowe kind of accent that's got a bit of everything. You know what I mean? Like passes for whoever he's playing, wherever he's in the world at any time.
Yeah. I think I did accents at the Andy McDowell School of Acting. I tell you who's good at accents, Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks.
Actually, does Tom Hanks do accents? The only film I saw him do accent in I can remember is The Terminal. And I don't think that was his finest moment, The Terminal.
No. He does a very...
Look, we're even using Truman's idea to rip into Tom Hanks.
He does a very good sort of, middle-aged American guy.
That's all he
He's
does.
had a bit of experience at being that guy.
Yeah,
so that's, probably fair enough.
Yeah.
He does have a lovely voice, though, doesn't he?
Lovely man. Lovely guy.
Do you know what my favourite, and this is a connection to Tom Hanks too, one of my favourite voices of all time is Jimmy Stewart. The way Jimmy Stewart talks.
Right.
Has a lovely, lovely rounded fall voice. I just love it.
Yeah.
And Tom Hanks is sometimes referred to as the modern Jimmy Stewart.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not. That feeling of confidence to give it a go is welling up inside me, but I'm going to resist it.
Come on, Tim. You did a good. Your Irish one was good. Your Irish was good. So
I don't. The Jimmy Stewart. Well, now. I'd get that moon and I'd pull that moon. I'd throw a lasso around that moon and pull it down for you. The old savings and loan.
That's not me playing a recording of Jimmy Stewart. People. That's Tim.
Be sure to edit that in later on. Can you do a Tom Hanks? How would you picture Tom Hanks?
I can't.
What's a lot?
I can't.
And not Forrest Gump, because that's overly done. You know what I mean? Like that's him doing a southern accent, which he
Alabama,
says. Yeah. He says he got into that character. I was listening to this recently in an interview by mimicking the young actor that played the young Forrest. He said, I'll just follow his lead, and that's how he sort of found his way into the Forrest sort of voice. But
no, you can't impersonate Tom Hanks. That's like.
I don't think you're allowed to.
No,
I think it's forbidden.
There must be rules against it. Like it's like
yeah.
It's like it would be like, you know how you can't like look inside the Ark of the Covenant when you open it in Raiders of the Lost Ark because it's like it's too perfect a thing and like you're not worthy to look at it. Whatever happens, keep your eyes shut. It's like that impersonating Tom Hanks.
Yeah, I could do it, but I wouldn't do it because
my face would melt.
I want you to stay alive. Tom.
All right, there you go. Well, Truman, if you were worried that knowing you're listening was going to stop us talking about Tom Hanks, I think we've well and truly put that concern to bed. But thanks for a bloody good idea. That's one of the better ideas we've
had. It is a very good idea.
Yeah.
Gosh. Whew.
All right. I think that's about it for today.
You guys ready to rock and roll?
We've been, according to my thing, we're not going to hit the number of minutes of this episode number either.
Have we gone over?
No, we're under.
Oh, do you want me to...
Can you go for another 20 minutes? I don't know. You might need something close to that.
Boy, can I.
Nah, that will do us. That will do us for now. Ready to rock and roll. Yeah. What's another? Is there another goodbye? Is there another daddism for goodbye? See you around like a rissile.
Catch you. Catch you guys on the flip side.
Oh no. Or I'll see you later. Not if I see you first.
Oh, that's all right. All right. Stop recording.